My name is Jen, and I am on a journey in order to break free from the destructive patterns of disordered eating and in order to embrace a nourishing lifestyle. My roadmap can be described using an acronym of the word Nourisher. So I'm doing daily video blog posts in order to encourage you, equip you, and keep you up to date on my progress. If this content is helpful or encouraging to you, please consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and sharing with others. It is my deep desire that these videos would help to ignite nourishing transformations in us all. Whew! Thank you so much for joining me for my Nourisher Check In as I bustle about the day. Doing so much, so it's good to check in with you and just stop to just kind of go through the acronym and actually notice what is going on inside of me because I am very busy today. So, noticing my emotions, I am noticing, sometimes when I don't know what I'm actually feeling, I kind of do a body scan. Start at my head, kind of go down. What's my jaw feeling like? What am I noticing in my shoulders and chest area? What am I noticing in my stomach? Am I noticing any tightness or clenching, even in my glutes? Or in my legs, all the way down. I kind of do this scan. And I just feel everywhere in those areas, whether it's my jaw or my chest or my stomach or my glutes, I just feel tight. I feel tight. I feel kind of not wound up, but just kind of like I'm clamping. And, part of that has a little bit to do with opening up to others. I was able to open up with my story, my eating disorder story, and my diagnosis today to some people that I really love and appreciate. But I just really noticed that I was kind of doing this internal emotional dance about how are they reacting and kind of like caring for their emotions and wanting to monitor their reactions all the way along. So I really noticed that in myself, this kind of like hyper radar for like every kind of sentence as I shared my story, monitoring how are they taking it? How is this hitting them? And, I do think that that's one of my strengths is to be very empathetic, but I also notice it as a weakness in that I can kind of become a chameleon and change who I am in order to be more palatable for someone else. So really notice that today. And also in opening up to others, I just had this wonderful conversation with a friend who, has similar tendencies as I do. We each have our own stories, but we just had this really beautiful, raw conversation. And we were talking about all of the ways that we restrict. So when we're talking about understanding the cycle, today when I notice this kind of clenching in me, that's a better word. I feel like I'm clenched, but I feel like I'm also clenched emotionally in that, like, don't let it all out there. Like, just keep it in control. And you know what, when I feel that way, I can also end up very quickly manifesting that in food, in leaning towards a restricted side. When I am restricting myself emotionally, I'm restricting the way I'm communicating. When I'm restricting, often I put restrictions on myself, because I become way too busy, I overcommit, or I try to take on too much. And so that feels like, what I have to get done in a day ends up feeling like a vice grip. And then emotionally I'm clamping, and then I end up also physically restricting, and they all kind of come together. And that was just so helpful for me in terms of understanding the cycle, to realize that I don't only restrict with food, but I can restrict on so many levels. And food is just maybe one, kind of somebody called it like a Trojan horse, kind of one representation of the various ways that I'm restricting. So it was a very helpful and healing conversation. So what am I going to do to rewire my brain? Because I always wanted, when I'm in this clenched state, now that I'm starting to realize it, and of course noticing, I just, when other people notice, I just applaud. Like, the fact that you're even noticing that you're doing that, it just shows you're like so far down the healing path. Because, how many decades did I spend just not even noticing these dynamics? And so I want to maybe stop and give myself a little bit of a pat on the back too, that, yeah, I'm noticing these things too. And that's so helpful. And what can I do to help rewire my brain? So again, when I lose control of my thoughts or, my emotions, I can always turn to my body. I can turn to deep breaths. I can go to half smiles. And today, the big one for me was urge surfing. So I've described urge surfing before. And again, the idea is that when I feel this pressure to restrict, this urge to restrict, or this craving to binge, I can know that it feels like it's going to be there forever. Like it feels like this craving is like there and it's going to demand and be kind of this obnoxious presence until I feed it. Or same thing with the urge to restrict, like nothing will let up that clenching feeling in my body until I actually give it what it wants and restrict what I'm eating. But what I'm realizing is that it actually functions more like a wave where it comes on really strong, but it eventually will kind of break and will decline. And in the process of that time, I can help it kind of run its course more quickly if I'm curious about it. And why is this coming up now? And what does it need in order to release? And so what I'm noticing in regards to that restriction is my body needs rest and needs to be maybe held. Needs, rather than holding everything all together myself, needs to recognize someone else's loving presence to help hold some of these heavier balls. So that is what I'm trying to listen for and trying to do that urge surfing of that practice mentally. Eating. So I did have a very good breakfast this morning. I didn't eat first thing, but I did have a nourishing breakfast mid-morning. And now it is like way past lunchtime and I haven't eaten yet and I'm busy and I'm running out the door. So please check in with me and make sure that I ate the rest of the day. So I know what I'm going to eat. Thankfully, one of those things where I've got all these elements planned. I've got chicken cooked. I've got, some good veg. I've got stuff to eat, but I need to eat it. So, but I'm going to quickly say goodbye to you and then maybe I'll grab that. So feeling a little bit on the restrictive side, need to be careful to maintain. Maybe I have to go somewhere right after this. So maybe I'll even grab some nuts now and then have a bigger kind of, bigger meal in the middle of the afternoon. Anyway, we'll see. Sleep last night was really disrupted. Again, I chose to go to sleep when I put my daughters to bed and I fell fast asleep for about 3 hours and then I was up. And then, so it wasn't so bad. Even talking about sleep makes me yawn. But not so bad, but still noticing this disruption and still really needing to find out what's under that and be able to get into a better rhythm. And hydration has not been good today. I was teaching and was running around and now we're going to head down to the beach and I need to fill a bunch of waters. And I don't have water by the door, so I'm going to fail in hydration today. Somewhere my mother-in-law is telling me that was too harsh. I hear her voice. Exercise, also, we're going to head down to the beach and do some stand-up paddleboarding. So that will be my exercise today. And yesterday, of course, had a beautiful walk, which was great. But I am doing this because it is worth it for me to be able to notice and then to do something about these dynamics. And I don't want to live in a hurried, I was talking to somebody today about a time in my life where I was working insanely, starting a new kind of entrepreneurial project, very physically demanding, pregnant with, a baby in my arms, and just how intense that time was. And she was sharing with me about how I came across. She's like, I know that your heart is kind and that your heart is soft. And that she's like, but you were just so busy during that time. You had so much on your mind that everything ended up coming out kind of rushed and hurried and almost aggressive. And, to hear that was sorrowful and sad for me, and so true. And I just want to sit in humility and recognizing that. And I'm thankful to God for bringing me out of that season and for the things that He is teaching me and the healing path that He has me on to not be that type of person anymore. And I'm so grateful for that friend who took the time to still see my heart in the middle of that intensity. But really, I think that busyness was all part of my either binging on busyness or restricting. It's all part of the same cycle. So these are helpful things for me to ruminate about. I hope that they are helpful in helping you think through your own story is so unique. And I wish that we could sit down with a cup of tea. I would love to hear your story. But for now, I appreciate you being on this journey with me. And I am excited about the way that we are learning to nourish ourselves. And I am already looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye for now.